My name's Victoria and I had triplet boys in August at the Princess Anne Hospital in Southampton. Their names are Leo, Eli and Oscar, and Leo was the biggest. He weighed 1.9 kilos, Eli was 1.2 and Oscar was teeny tiny at just 730 grams. They were born at 30 weeks plus 5, so fairly early, but not as early as many babies in the unit. Leo and Eli spent 5 weeks in the unit, while Oscar spent a further 4 weeks. They came home just a week ago, a day after their due date, and they're 10 weeks old, doing really well. Oscar's on oxygen, but other than that, they are doing great. I remember being wheeled in to see my 3 babies all in incubators with tubes all over them, and being too scared to touch them, really. It's not what you hope or would want your first meeting with your babies to be like, but as one of the nurses reminded me a few days later, really, I'll remember this, but actually the babies won't remember, and the first meeting and the first weeks of their lives are only a small part of it. The rest of the journey is once we get them home and we continue to be their parents. It can be a bit daunting when you get into the unit and your babies look so small and so fragile, and they're in these boxes and you're washing your hands constantly. We couldn't hold Oscar for the first 5 days of his life, and that was really difficult, and the days feel so long and you think, what can I possibly do so he knows that I'm there? So one evening, me and my husband decided we'd just read him a story, and anything like that, touch, reading stories, just talking to them, sitting next to them, and as a mom, expressing milk so that you feel like at least when they get to the point where they can take your milk, they can be fed it, even if it's through a tube. I knew my babies were going to come early. I was told all the way through that is a risk, and they did. They came 9 weeks early. But I think knowing what the risks were made a big difference for me, because I knew what to expect. I knew I was going to the neonatal unit where other people who were in the neonatal had relatively normal pregnancies, and then for their babies to be taken to what is a very intense atmosphere can be really difficult, especially when you see your babies with all sorts of tubes and wires all over them and you don't really understand any of it, and it takes a while for you to take it all in. But I think there could be a lot more information given to mothers who are having a relatively normal pregnancy, just so they know these things happen, and if you end up there, it's not the worst thing. The babies are cared for extremely well. There are lots of babies who come out of there very quickly. There were babies in and out much quicker than ours were, and it doesn't have to be something that's really traumatic.